So, it's been a busy week all over the world with the results of I think it was November presidential um, election in the United States finally being confirmed. And to be honest, I I used to be a bit against Trump, although I later kind of, I think it was a bit of the media in Europe portraying him as such a devil. But, you have to seek your own information and be more informed about things and not be ignorant about politics and economics. And it is very important to be informed. Now, I don't agree with things he said about the environment and all that, but regardless of points where we may disagree, I want to congratulate the United States of America not to fall prey to the intimidation of the regressive left. And I think that it is very important to keep democracy alive. And democracy is dying all over the world. In my country alone, which has been since 1975, well, you know, um, I think, um, living under democracy and supposedly to the has fallen prey to regressive leftists. And it is very important to respect the outcome of an election. And I was really worried about whether they might indict Hillary Clinton instead of Trump. Hear me out. It's not that, there are certainly bad things about both candidates, but indicting someone who wasn't elected to be president of the United States of America would cause a precedent and a very bad at it because you need to respect the electoral process. And it doesn't matter whether you like or not the candidate. It is important to work with the current president to do your best, help him in the areas where you agree with, and suggest new ideas um, in points you disagree. I don't know. To me, the most important part is that the largest, uh, you know, um, it's not exactly a country. It's an agglomeration of states, so it's more like several countries in one country. So it is very important that one of the most influent countries keeps democracy alive. And one of the most important parts of the democratic process is respecting the election, respecting the electoral results, and the decision of the people. You may not agree with the president elect election, but ultimately you need to respect that the majority of the country, or at least the majority of the voting system, the way your voting system is um, you know, um, it's hard to explain, but the way it works made so that Trump was elected the president, and you need to respect that. Now, it's not the first time that it happens, and it will certainly not be the last where a president, it is, it doesn't matter. What matters is the outcome of the election, and you need to respect your laws and your system. So, if your system functions in a certain way, regardless of how many votes, it everyone knows how the system works. You cannot change the result of an election after it's done. You need to, if you don't agree with the result in this election, you need to reshape the system into a system you feel will be more fair, or so that's the point. You can't change the outcome of this election. You may change the outcome of future elections. The most important thing is keep the democratic process alive. And the way to do that is indict the president-elect president. In my country, there was a coup, or whatever you may want to call it, where the rightful prime minister was indicted, and then the communists and the socialist party joined together to overthrow the government, which is really a bad thing. We are suffering through, we went through a really bad time, almost to bankruptcy. And yes, austerity is a bad thing, but we were recovering so fast, and we were, we nearly became went to the same um, crisis as Greece. The only reason we didn't go as far was because we had a very, very professional prime minister, Pasquale, who was able to take us out of bankruptcy. And now this fucking, this prime minister, uh, you know, he's not my prime minister, and he is not Portugal's prime minister, because he did everything to ruin the democracy. We no longer live in a democratic party country. We elected one prime minister, and the communists made so that another one was indicted. So it is very important, and I congratulate all Americans, or at least those who did not riot and throw tantrums just because Hillary Clinton wasn't elected. More important than the outcome, more important than the candidates, is keeping democracy alive. And ultimately, it is to respect the voters and the election and how the process is done. You may not agree with the amount of of votes and the amount of um, representatives, and but that is your system, and this is how your system works, and you need to respect it. If you don't agree with the way your system works, you need to change it, but you need to change it and respect the outcome of the elections thus far, because you cannot. change a system just because you don't agree with the last election, you know? It's really bad that you don't agree with a system when the system elects a candidate you don't like, but you love it when it elects candidates that you prefer, you know? Um, I remember years ago I was pro Obama, and I was really disappointed. He promised to stay out of wars and keep uh, you know I don't know that's you need to see that regardless of the whether they're Republican or Democrats, there isn't much difference. And I think that at this point the most important thing is um keep the democratic process alive, keep democracy alive. Portugal set a bad precedent by electing um you know um a prime minister, and then the communist parties did everything to overthrow that prime minister. It was a coup d'etat, and it was not a good thing. It undermines democracy. So again, I congratulate the United States of America for keeping true with the results of the election. It is very important that no matter what, no matter how much intimidation um, a government suffers, it is very important to keep democracy alive. And the only way we do that is that regardless our personal agendas, regardless our personal political choices, we respect the electoral process, which is the most sacred thing in democracy. You know, if you want, the first step, and this is really the first step to um, a fascist, an oppressive regime, is to overthrow or ignore electoral results. The first sign that a nation is turning into a fascist nation is when you overlook democracy. And the one of the major I'm sorry, I'm drawing blank. One of the major I'm sorry, I'm looking for the word. I uh, one of the major building blocks of democracy is the popular vote. It's the electoral process. And if you don't respect the outcome of an electoral process, you are setting a precedent, and you are saying it is okay not to listen to the people. It is okay to overlook the results of an election. It is okay to decide who is in power regardless of everyone else. And that is fascism. So, congratulations on not falling prey to extreme regimes and not falling prey to the, communism. That's what I am going to say. And I know a lot of people, and I will probably receive a lot of scrutiny for this, but to me, the electoral process and respecting um, the electoral process is more important than whoever is president. It's 4 years, but if we don't respect who is president and who was elected president, 4 years may turn into 8 years, 12 years, 16 years, 20 years. We need to respect the electoral process. And I'm still grieving over the death of democracy in my country. And there's still hope as long as there are countries who respect their elections. Bye, everyone. And if you like my content, please subscribe, say something in the comment section. And I know I'm a bit too, strict about my, way of thinking, but, you know, it is important to me, it is very important to respect um, the system. If you don't like the system, you may change it later on and suggest a better system. But, changing the system just because the results of an election are not in line with what you hoped they'd be is simply wrong. And so goodbye. I hope I was clear. I know I ramble a lot, but uh, that's just my point. And congratulations, Donald Trump. And I hope that you reconsider your points on the environment. And I hope you do a better job than your um, um, than your former um, than your not ancestor, than your predecessor. So bye.